Welcome to our first list video, where we will list things that we have learned in slow travel through different areas of the world in our retirement. Slow travel refers to the practice of spending a period of weeks or even months in a city or country, rather than cramming as many sights and experiences as possible into a few days. You endeavor to learn something of what it is like to live in different places and in cultures. In these videos, we'll share some insights and provide some tips, should you perhaps visit these places as well. So, here is our top 10 list of what we have learned during 6 weeks in Buenos Aires in February and March 2026. Number 1. Our experience is that at least some basic knowledge of Spanish is more necessary here than it was during our 3 months in Mexico. Frankly, given how cosmopolitan Buenos Aires is, that was a little bit surprising. People we have encountered here who do speak English have generally spoken it quite well. But the proportion of wait staff and shopkeepers we have met who know at least some English has been lower. Number 2. Hyperinflation has made using cash a challenge in Argentina. 10 years ago, the average exchange rate was 16 to 17 Argentinian pesos to the US dollar, which is about the same as the 17 to 18 Mexican pesos to the dollar, both then and now. But the exchange rate basically doubled every 2 years up to 2023. And then in 2024, Argentina entered a 2-year period of annual inflation of over 200% and rapid currency devaluation. By the end of 2025, the exchange rate had plummeted to more than 1,400 pesos to the dollar. Although the economy has stabilized somewhat, this sample of bills taken from my pocket, and we haven't seen a single coin, totals 33,800 pesos and has a current exchange value of about $24. Number 3. Consequently, getting cash is also a challenge. Since the 20,000 peso bill is the largest one in general circulation and has the purchasing power of about $14.33, and a 100 peso bill exchanges for just 7 cents, it takes a lot of bills. ATMs often run out of cash to cover withdrawals. Following advice from others in the expat community, we wired ourselves some cash through Western Union. But even then, we had to visit 5 different offices to find one with sufficient cash on hand to cover our request, for well below a typical ATM daily withdrawal limit in the United States. But you can't avoid having cash, even though you can buy things almost anywhere with digital payment. For example, in some restaurants, you can pay for the meal with your tarjeta, credit card, or your phone, but you must pay any tip to the servers in cash. Number 4. Since I just mentioned restaurants, let's switch to a more pleasant topic and add some food-related items to this list, starting with meal patterns. Traditionally, Argentines eat 4 times a day. Desayuno, anywhere from 7 to 10 a.m., is very light. Typically coffee or mate, a drink similar to tea, and juice with medialunas, small glazed croissants. Almuerzo, which comes between 1 and 3 p.m. in the afternoon, can be the largest meal of the day, ranging from more formal settings centered on meat to grab-and-go foods like empanadas or sandwiches. Merienda, around 5 to 7 p.m., is a snack often of coffee or mate and something sweet like alfajores, cookies with dulce de leche caramel sandwiched between them and often dipped in chocolate. By the way, dulce de leche is found in many desserts, whether flan, ice cream, or cakes. Cena is the last meal of the day, and it comes between 9 and 10 p.m. traditionally. It can also be the main meal of the day, depending on what one did for almuerzo and how heavy a meal one had at that time. Number 5. Argentina runs on milanesa. These thin cuts of beef, chicken, or pork are coated in breadcrumbs and sauteed. They can be served plain like German schnitzel, or over pasta with sauce and cheese like chicken parmesan, or as a sandwich. Go into any butcher shop and you will see piles of pre-breaded cutlets ready for purchase. Number 6. A close second to milanesa, however, would be empanadas. Every pizza shop, and there are a lot of pizza shops, also sells empanadas. If you haven't heard of empanadas, think of a small calzone, but filled with meat, cheese, and vegetable combinations. Want to know what is inside an empanada? Then look at the pattern and how the closed edge is sealed. It differs based on the filling. I have to say, however, I've yet to master the code. Number 7. Another favorite street food is what Americans would call hot dogs. But just as we distinguish between lemons and limes, which are both just limones in Spanish, Argentines draw a bright line between their beloved choripan and a mere pancho. Choripan is chorizo sausage served within bread, similar to a baguette. But a pancho is just a wiener in a hot dog bun. You can sometimes find them both in the same shop, but don't confuse them. Number 8. For fine dining, however, the go-to meal here is beef asado. The cuts tend to be very thin, like flank steak, or much thicker than their usual U.S. counterparts. Sherry and I had ojo de bife and bife de lomo, ribeye and tenderloin steaks respectively, at one of the top steakhouses, and they were probably twice as thick as what we had anticipated. Number 9. Switching topics so you don't think we only learned about food. Buenos Aires has more green spaces than many other cities of its size that we have visited. There is an ecological reserve along its river, many parks and gardens and plazas, some stretching for kilometers or filling 2 or 3 blocks. Even very old trees have been preserved within sidewalks fronting high-rise office and apartment buildings. Coupled with public transit options, it makes it not only possible, but pleasant to make your way around the city without a car. Number 10. And on that note of public transit, Buenos Aires Subte, or subway system, is efficient and inexpensive, currently just under $1 per ride. Be aware that people are permitted to perform music and sell small items on the subway cars themselves. If someone attempts to place some pins, socks, or other small items in your lap, simply say, "No gracias," or just leave them there until they come back through to collect them. So there you have 10 of the things we've learned during our slow travel in Buenos Aires. There are many other things we could have included, such as tango culture and the social and practical intricacies of sharing mate, that for the sake of time, we're leaving off this list. But though it took us a few days to warm to the city, it definitely has become a place to which we will one day return.